know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
I don't think you guys walk away from this.
You just make sure people know what happened.
Welcome, man. It's been a while. Welcome to the news room for the new people who just tuning in. My name is Henry Williams, the co-host Shin, Akuma, JML. We in here. What's up? How it been?
You know what's up, man. We just been chilling out here, upgrading and maintaining. You know what it is. If you ain't stepping your game up, you're stepping your game down, my nigga.
Yes, we haven't been on YouTube in a while. We have been taking over different spaces. We is on TikTok. You would catch us. You could see down below. We are on TikTok at newsroom_16. We miss you too. We miss y'all.
That's all you need to know to get to mine.
Yes. And also, if y'all want to help the channel with any cash donation, our cash app, newsroom16. And when you send it, put newsroom donation. No, we haven't forgot YouTube. We haven't forgot y'all YouTube. We've been gaining more people. We've been putting shorts out. I want to thank everybody for supporting us. Today, or you can say tonight, we have a very interesting show that please keep an open mind. Don't be ready to attack the information. Research the information. We gonna just give y'all basic information.
You gotta remember, comprehension is the key to understanding.
Yeah.
You have to comprehend the information we're bringing out in order for you to understand it. So if you're gonna get mad before you even can comprehend the data fields, how are you gonna make a judgment?
Yes. Facts. So, no further ado, let's drop into the show. Today's show is about plantation. What is the plantation? Where it came by? There's many things we going to learn. So,
yeah, pull that definition up.
So the key points we gonna learn is about the economic center, infrastructure development, population growth, culture influence, transition over time. So now let me put the first screen up.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Presentation. Share screen. We're gonna go into plantation settlement. Let me blow up the screen more. Tell me if you can see it better.
You gotta zoom in a little bit. Zoom in over there to the right, though. Right.
Better?
Right. Good. That's much better.
Okay. AI overview. What that means is they took all the information from different sites, different sources, and it combined together. So this a plantation settlement. Is a settlement in a new area or country or a colony. It can also reference to planet area as for agriculture estate that is worked by labor. So we're gonna go further down.
Right.
Here's an example of plantation settlement.
There we go. That's where I was born, big dog. Look at that.
Right here off top.
Off
If
top
people
is
want to
where
know,
I'm from, bro.
yeah, if people want to know like about what is a plantation, that they like, if you come and say, no, y'all capping on the information. Oh, y'all got Google, find other sources. No. I
See,
want
and
y'all to
people thought I was
understand.
capping because I was telling them I was born on the plantation in the modern day. They thought I was capping.
Yes. Providence, Rhode Island was named Providence Plantation. This was the first permanent European settlement in Rhode Island. It was established by Rhodes, that's his name, Rhodes Williams, a Puritan minister, and his followers who was fleeing religional persecution in Massachusetts Bay. So that's like Massachusetts Bay would be around Salem,
That's
Massachusetts.
because the boy Roger Williams, like it says right there,
Yeah,
he got kicked out of Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Bay Colony, which we call Boston today.
yeah,
because he had a radical idea that they should incorporate the indigenous people into the demographic of the colonies, right?
yeah.
Where in Boston it was purely Puritan. If you wasn't European, you couldn't live in their city states.
Yeah.
In their fortified cities or their fortified towns. If you wasn't white or European, basically European, because it wasn't really no white people because they wasn't born in America yet, that they had that they wasn't going to give no indigenous people no rights. So what Roger Williams did is he got tried because he was teaching indigenous people the Bible, and he was teaching them how to operate inside the colonial laws. So they put him on trial, and he ended up having to leave, and he ended up creating Rhode Island down the road from Boston, where he was incorporating the indigenous people into the economic demographics.
Yeah. So people gotta understand that what is a plantation? When people think of a plantation, they look at it as you got a master house and you have the slaves in the back with empty fields. That is far from what a plantation is. A plantation is the beginning of a city. It's the foundation of the city. When you look at plantation, the first word you see is plant.
Right.
They are not planting crops. They are planting people. They are taking people out of the old world Europe and planting them here in America. So the colony is the plantation. So you have the plantation. The so-called master house would be the house of the founder of the colony. So it's his home, and surround his home would be Europeans. That's European slaves around the home of the plantation, because this is the beginning. So
Providence was Italians.
Yeah, so you start having blacksmiths around the big house. You have blacksmiths, you have wood chippers who cutting wood. You got the farmers, everything that is needed to start a city. You need food for the workers. You need wood chopped to start creating homes. You need blacksmiths to keep the tools right, to create new wheels and new invention to make life better in the colony. So all these workers, these are the overseers. The because a blacksmith is a trade, and everybody under a master blacksmith would be apprentices. They don't get paid. These are what we would say slaves, not indentured servants, but slaves. Indentured servants was to minimize the impact of European slavery. How we know that they brought European slaves here? Because the English themselves was creating plantations in Ireland.
Yeah, but hold on, because I got something to say real quick too. Because they're trying to make it seem like the plantation came in 15 and 1600. For people who don't know, 16 and 17th century just means 15 and 1600. That's not really even the origin of where the plantation was starting up in Europe. Because we already know, Henry, even in the Roman time, they had the fiefdom, which was the plantation.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? The Roman Catholic fiefdom was a plantation.
Yes.
They had the walls up. They had the area where you was playing at. They had the spot where the church was at the top of the hill. And then they had the rest of the village in there.
Yeah.
And if you lived in the village, you didn't pay a rent. Like nowadays, where it's like, oh, you gotta pay. They'll be like, oh, you gotta pay 200 gold coin. They was talking about we need to see at least 1/4 of your crops.
Yeah.
By the end of the fall. 1/4 of whatever you yielded.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. So
in this, we go to Ireland. And not just Ireland, we gotta also include Wales, because when the Anglo-Saxons of England, because England, Wales, and Ireland and Scotland are different countries, united under the United Kingdom. But these are different countries and different people, different nations. So when the English took over Welsh, they started moving English people in. And what they did was they would build fortified plantations, fortified cities. What they was doing have more of their population than the natives. Create new cities as the natives would live in the woods and live in shabby homes and don't have no power, don't have no strength of city and defense.
That's why you got to go back to what the scripture says about that, because invaders always was able to overtake areas because they would create walled cities. You know, like even if we go to the actual 1700 Ireland, if you're talking about Mel Gibson, the movie Braveheart.
Yes.
The English had a city, they had the village, and it had the wooden stakes that was about 13 to 15 feet high surrounding the whole village. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what they're talking about. Those was them plantations. You know what I mean? Some people lived up in the cottages. Other people had to live up in the inn. You know, they show us on the anime all the time. People be going to the inn and all that.
Yes,
and then you gotta be paying with your labor. You don't pay. It's not like nowadays where if you got the bread, you could pay to live. You got to pay with your labor. It's like you had to come into the city. If you had no job skills, maybe you had to wash dishes in the pub, or You had to make people's beds up in the inn or wash the clothes or whatever it was for you to be able to pay to stay somewhere, whether it was not. And then we getting into the people who was the permanent resident, you know, people who permanently lived there that was raising their family, whatever. They got to get up and go out to the fields, get that rice right, get that corn right, get that cotton and that tobacco right.
Yeah, so you can mainly say like the natives. Okay, the English will live in the city and stuff, or you could say the plantation with the
Which would be the
stone
part with
built.
the wall on it, which would be the part with a wall.
Yes, the native will not live nowhere in the plantation. They wouldn't even be allowed inside the plantation at night. They they wouldn't even be able to trade goods in the plantation. They have to stay on the outskirts. It say in the 16th and 17th century, the English crown confiscated Irish-owned land and colonized it with settlers from Great Britain. The crown goal was to control, Anglinize, and civilize Gaelic Ireland. Plantation towns in Ireland include Derry, New Road, Portslade, Brandon, and Belfast. Belfast is the capital of Northern Ireland. That was created as we see today that it got Northern Ireland and it got the Republic of Ireland. The Republic of Ireland is Catholic. The northern part, what is Northern Ireland, is more leaning and provident, Protestant. Sorry, my speech. More closer to the Church of England. Northern Ireland is more closer to the Church of England because the people of Northern Ireland know that their ancestors is not Ireland. They are English people who colonized Ireland. The same thing that they did in Ireland, they did here in America.
Bro, that's not even what it is. It's that it's a standardization. If we really want to be honest,
Yeah,
that's
so
why I brought up that Roman Catholic, the fiefdoms, and back in the Roman time, because it's not even any different. It's the same strategy, just standardized. This became a factual practice.
yes. So when we look here in America, we understand this. You have the colonies. They started their plantation, which eventually became colonies because that plantation become a city. So Washington, D.C. is a plantation or was a plantation.
Washington, D.C. is a district now because it's so big in an individual area. It had to become a district because it's not small enough anymore to be called a plantation.
Yes. Richmond, Virginia, New York City, Providence, Rhode Island, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Atlanta, Georgia. In all the cities of America started off as a plantation. Even when we look at plantation, it gives you the understanding of this. They enslaved Native Americans. Native Americans state was not allowed in the cities inside the plantation. They was not allowed to trade in the plantation. What did they do? Sharecrop. Sharecrop, and when their crop did not work well,
Yeah, if it had low yields.
low year, they would go to the colony, and they would give their children away.
Yeah, because that's how people would get conscripted. You know what I'm talking about?
So
That's how you
today,
get conscripted into the plantation, where like, because you know how it was back in the day in the colonial time. We didn't have no American army. We didn't have an army until 1770, the Continental Army of the United States of America with George Washington. So before that, they had to use militia. The militias was brought together by what you just said, the conscription of the children of those who couldn't afford.
What I'm talking, I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about present day school. Why if you send your child to school, that if they miss a day, you get fined?
Because that's a form of conscription. That's why you got to sign that page 2 on the policy handbook. Conscription.
So understanding that when the natives, they would live on the outskirts, they would sell their children for food. What they are selling their children for? What their children going to do? They're going to become workers, or what we call today slaves, because these will be people who gonna go into crafts. They're gonna learn how to work the fields. They're gonna learn how to. They're gonna become cooks. They're gonna become laborers, cooks, blacksmiths.
Technicians, don't forget, like horseshoe guy or blacksmith or
stonesmith.
Stonesmith, right, masonry.
All these trades.
They were selling you into the trade. That's why they called it trade school. You was trading your kids to go to the school for resource.
So even in that process, that is what's going on in the colonies is also going out of the colony. That people got to understand this. There's going to be a controversy thing. But people got to realize that when you got millions of dollars, you got gateway to knowledge that other people don't have. When Kanye West said that slavery was a choice, people got to understand it was a choice.
A lot of it.
Because
it wasn't a lot of and you know what, I gotta let me put an exclamation onto that, right? Because I believe it's hold on, let me check my phone because I got the actual documentations. So let me get the actual document. Because it says in Rhode Island that Rhode Island slavery was abolished. And hold on, I'll tell you in a second. Here it is. In 1652, Rhode Island was the first state to outlaw slavery, the first colony to outlaw slavery in 1652. So 1652 is 100 years before even the American Revolution.
Yeah.
Now, going to what you were saying, Henry, the absolute fact is that's because they figured out the economic system faster than the rest of the colonies did. Because Roger Williams had incorporated the indigenous folks into the demographic already.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He already was using the indigenous population in an integration form where the other colonies was using segregation. And that's why Rhode Island didn't have to become a corporation state when it signed on the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, because the Constitution, because that the simple fact that Rhode Island had enough money that they didn't need to get loans.
Yeah.
They was making money. It's even to this day, Rhode Island is not a corporate state. It's the only state in the country where it's privately owned. The people who own the state of Rhode Island is private investment. You can't even find out who the people are who own the state because it's private. It's not even a public business, the state of Rhode Island. That's why people can't get up and can't get in trouble in the government in Rhode Island for corruption. Because it ain't no corruption when you own the company.
Yeah.
You own it.
Because people got to understand this, that a lot of times in the South, especially like, let me say, like, going to a small town, you driving into a city, you will see these signs that will be like international stuff, and sometimes they got Masons. These people literally own and run the city. A city is a corporation. A plantation is started by a company. You
Private
got
ownership.
the West India Company. You got the East Dutch Company. You got the West Dutch Company. You got all these companies because these are businesses. So the cities today is run like a business. You got the mayor, you got the boards, you got the city treasurer. Everything that a city is run on is the same thing a church run on. The preacher is not. The preacher is a spokesman. You got the president of the church. You got the treasurer of the church. You got the secretary of the church.
Hey, and you know what's funny about you saying that?
Yeah.
In downtown Providence, they got the oldest church in America in downtown Providence, bro. It's a landmark. The oldest church in America. Which correlates directly with what you're saying. Because Providence is built all the way like that. We got what we call Federal Hill. It has the State House, the Hall of Records, and the different portions of buildings for different government entities in order for the operation of the statewide government, while sitting on the hill overlooking the city hall and the city type buildings for governmental status, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because you can see how much higher the state house is than the actual federal court and the city hall. It's way up on a hill.
Yeah, and then even when you see the structure of a lot of
it looks
city
like a
halls,
plantation if you bring it up.
Yeah, courthouses.
If you bring up the Providence State House real quick.
Okay, hold up just a moment.
So you can show people, because it looks exactly like a plantation even to this day.
Rhode Island State House.
Yep. Because the people need to see this, because this is an actual hard evidence right here.
Okay. Let me change the structure of what I'm doing. Okay. Let me share screen. This big building right here. This is, you would say this is the master home. This is the font. This is, you can say,
look at it from a sky view, bro. You need to see the sky view when they show it from the top, because you got to see how the land is laid out around it, because it looks like a plantation still. It's just mad grass. I'm telling you, if we got, I wish I would have known a little bit ahead of time. I would have had my boy take some drone footage.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Because we definitely need the people to see that this thing looks like a straight up plantation. Like, I mean, it looks like the big house and then the land around it. You could tell.
So, like, also, when people got to understand that the slaves was not allowed on the plantation, they wasn't allowed in the cities. They wasn't allowed to trade. That's where you get black-owned businesses. That's why you had segregation, because the natives of the land was separated, had their own economy system from the city, from the colonizers. So
Yeah,
who do y'all
the
think?
east side in Providence, where I'm from.
So because this gonna have another part two of this show, and then they're gonna have a three because we're gonna go into white slavery to show how the white people came into the plantation and were slaves to
Right.
destroy the
That's
notion of
that's a key point. That's very overlooked in our American society.
to destroy the notion of indentured servitude. That's false. That's a push in their agenda.
And we need you
Then
to start with Louisiana because we know you're from there, so you got the inside
yeah,
story.
and then we're gonna go into the Native Americans who became slaves, who got their, and a German man who taught the colony how to control the natives, from knowing that we came from this land to coming from some jungle that we never been, never, no history to. So let's go to the next presentation. Okay. We going into Rhode Island. Can you
Hey,
see the info?
yes, sir.
Okay, tell me what you want to read and where you want to go.
All right, here we go. Now, see what y'all got to understand about Providence. First of all, you see the flag is all red. The reason why they got that whole red right there is because that's for the people who lived here, the red copper colored people who they overtook. That's the land. The English flag stands for Rhode Island itself. The one if you go down, they'll show you. And the little scroll down a little bit. Now, here we go. Here it is. Now, see how it's broke down like this? Those are the three plantations: Providence, King County, Newport, and then you got Bristol, which is part of Massachusetts, but it's also part of Rhode Island. Now, this island right here that Newport is on is called, that they had the Aquidneck Island. The Aquidneck Island is really the original Rhode Island, what they're talking about when they say Rhode Island Providence Plantation. Now go back up to the flag. Scroll back up to the flag. Now, having the understanding, right? The way the flag is moving, the red is for all the Providence Plantation, all the indigenous people who live in the mainland. You can see the difference. This English flag stood for the Rhode Island, the actual Rhode Island. The island that was called Rogues Island. It wasn't called Rhode Island, R-H-O-D-E. It was called Rogues Island, R-O-G-U-E. Rogue. Because Originally, Roger Williams was considered a rogue against the Puritans, against the Massachusetts Bay Colony Puritans. Plymouth Plantation, Massachusetts Bay Plantation, Provincetown Plantation on the arm of the state of Massachusetts. Now, Rhode Island got the anchor here because it's the ocean state, because a lot of piracy and a lot of slave shipments came out of Rhode Island instead of coming out of the port of Boston, because they knew it wasn't going to look good for the Puritans to be involved in slavery, especially based on their Christian morality and principle. People don't want to talk about that part in the colony, the Christian morality. You got it on mute, brother.
I'm sorry about that.
You're on mute.
Even so, when people realize about pirates, people only think about Caribbean pirates. Most of all the piracy that was going on, the big dogs and pirates, was going on right there in Rhode Island and Massachusetts.
Newport.
Yeah,
exactly. And a lot of people don't know the biggest money makers was the pirates who was willing to move the slaves across the oceans at the risk of their own demise.
Yeah, contraband. Yeah,
people don't understand the English before 1700, which this was one of the main key points, is why the United States colonies had to revolt against England, even though they try to say that bullshit teeth shit. It's really because in 1700 they outlawed slavery on the high sea. And the English was ready to shoot you down and put you to death, hanging you or making you walk off the plank for catching you with illegal contraband slaves.
Yeah.
Now, they don't now having that understanding. It's the same thing. Like if we fast forward to 2024, right, Henry? We know we was in the Greek manuscripts. You can go back a couple shows. We put in the trafficking. We showed you the Greek definitions up in the Bible. Trafficking.
Yeah.
Trafficker. You know what I'm saying? 2024, fast forward, human trafficking is still on an all-time high. Child trafficking, women trafficking, even men. You know what I mean? Even though nobody want to talk about it's men getting kidnapped up out here too. And we know that it's all piracy, right?
Yes.
That's why we got problems in the dock workers going on strike. That's why we got problems in America with shipments not making it. Because we got people like P. Diddy paying to import people from other countries as personal slaves and all type of bourgeoisie type execution and applications of people's practicalities. You know, trying to put people to slavery, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Everything a job. Gotta get it.
Or slavery, if they can get you to do it without paying you.
Yeah. Even the understanding.
We ain't no money. Think about it like this, because a lot of people get caught up and not know this is slavery too. If they're talking about, oh, we ain't gonna give you no money, but we'll let you stay here for free. That's a form of slavery, because that's a debt contract now.
Even the form that, hey, we give you clothes, we give you food, we give you somewhere to lay your head, and all you gotta do is wake up and work in the kitchen, or work as a trustee, or go work in the field and get pennies on the dollar. That is slavery.
Don't that sound familiar to some? Don't that sound familiar to something they just did in the modern day, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? But people's out here thinking, oh yeah, it's immigration. We're helping them people. No, y'all just let those government officials enslave those people. You gave them a place to stay. You know what I'm saying? You gave them money. You're giving them clothes. You're giving them food. You're giving them jobs. That's slavery. You just gave these folks And you're not paying a minimum wage. We know you ain't paying a minimum wage because you barely paying us Americans minimum wage out here.
So people gotta understand this also. Before the laying of foundation, before the military conquest, who come first? Missionaries.
Right?
The church. So look at it in modern terms.
Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on your door.
Jehovah's Witness, who else?
Them Baptist church folks too.
And who else?
They be talking about, they see you out, they be like, oh, make sure you come to church on Sunday.
And who the biggest one who up in the beehive?
The Roman Catholic Church.
Mormons got
Utah, yeah.
See, Mormons, their main thing is to, once you become a Mormon member, they get you with the word, and then they send you out to evangelize. They ship like young people. They ship them overseas. Some people go to South America, some people go to Africa, some people go all over the world evangelizing. So once they get these people hooked to being a Mormon, these people want to come to the Mormon paradise, and that is in Utah. So droves of immigrants gonna come. There's religional people telling people, come on to America. And the sad part is immigration is getting fought on by Democrats and Republicans. And the sad thing about it is you got Christian Republican, Christian Democrat. So Christians is supporting both sides. Or you would say the church, and which is the government.
Let's think about this too, Henry, right? They've been painting this picture of America since 1776, nigga. The golden fucking roads of America is where your future lies. If you want to get rich, you need to go to America. The streets is paved with gold.
The American dream.
How long have they been perpetrating that, Henry?
Yeah.
To the foreign lands. America, the road is paved with gold and the sidewalk is silver.
And then people gotta realize that it's like nothing new under the sun. We got Asian workers here in America. We got African workers here in America. We got all nationality. This been going on.
We got Eastern Europeans out here.
Yes. So when we look at history,
Russians, we got whatever you need.
Stop. You hit a good point. Eastern European. The country of Romania. Gypsies. They ship gypsies. Let me see if I could pull this up real quick. If I'm lying, I'm just flying. But okay, let me see. Let me move this camera a little bit and do a little touch up. Bam, 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 bam. Okay. Oh, Shin Akuma went out. Wait till he get back in. Now. Here you go. Yes. Romaines, people, also known as gypsies, was enslaved in America. The first Romanian people came to the United States in the 1500s. This United States, this the British, this the Spanish, this the French. The first Romanian people came. to the United States in the 1500s and was enslaved in Georgia, Florida, New Jersey. That's a northern state. And Louisiana. Spanish Louisiana. Spain shipped Romanian slaves to their Louisiana colony between 1762 and 1800. The 1800s in Louisiana. Just like 60 years later, 60 or so years later, you have the Civil War. So why they don't show us this in slave movies, that Romanian? Yeah. Yeah, I'm fixing a little technical problem when somebody called my phone. It cut off. Yeah. Okay. Here I go. Hello. I'm back. Okay.
Yeah, they was lighting up the phone calls, huh?
Yeah, they wound up hit me out. So
Yeah, you know
yeah,
what it is.
so
You know, 'cause it's that time, and you know what I mean. Let me just give a shout out to my niggas in the precincts, up on the tier right now, 'cause that's who was calling. They was call people from the Bing calling my phone too at that time. You know what's up,
yeah, I was showing that in Spanish Louisiana,
right?
Spain shipped Romanian slaves to their Louisiana colony between 1762 and the 1800s. Think about it. The Civil War, the Civil War started around 1860 something, right?
1856.
So, so what when we look at the plantation movies they show us in Hollywood, they do not show gypsies in the slave trade. They don't show the other individuals that they ship here to America.
And remember, they're forgetting too. They wasn't just taking these Romanis like they're saying. They also had dark skinned Italians too as
Yes.
slaves. That's what a lot of people don't know. They had dark skinned Italians as slaves because I seen that Louisiana law where it said Italians was lower than black people on the in the what do you call it, the demographics in the what do you call that again, the it's the pyramid, what is it,
Yeah,
the caste system, the caste
the
system.
calf system.
Italians and Irish people was lower than black people on the caste system in Louisiana. Which we could even see that if you look that up in the modern day history book. They'll tell you that. They'll tell you about it. That's why Italian people got reparation checks for that. Uh, uh, uh,
Look, and here this right here is loading up now. Here you go. Look, there is no evidence that black people, or you could say Native American also with them black people, held white slaves in the United States. But white people was enslaved in the United States. White people was
by other white
enslaved
people, that means.
in the United States. Some white European was enslaved in the United States and was the first slaves in America. White slaves
Right?
was auctioned off and their children was also enslaved. the term
But we know,
indentured.
hold on, Henry, though. But we also know that the white people's children wasn't technically enslaved. They was put on them trains and sent out west to cities like in Ohio, like Cincinnati, Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit, in order to go and populate those areas after they came in and slaughtered all our ancestors up out of them spots.
Yes. So
Because a
yeah,
lot of them cities was already built up before the Europeans came.
start new plantations. Yeah. See, because the term indentured servant was used to minimize the
That
existence
it was really white slavery.
of slavery. Yes, white slaves. Yes.
The severity. They wanted to lower the severity of it by using a different political term for white people, like they always do.
Yeah. Because people gotta understand the colony was built like fortress to keep the
Right?
native people out, to start the process of building the city, build the colony.
Colonization. Right? Colonization.
So
Imperialization.
so now you getting outside laborers. They would give their children away, and these children will become. They would gain trades, and becoming tradesmen, they become slave. That's why we got to remember, and I want to give thanks again and again and again to Kanye West saying that slavery was a choice.
And you know how else you know? Because in the trade school, when you're the apprentice, after you graduate from being the apprentice, now you become a journeyman, which means you could travel with your license, with your skill set, which
Yeah,
goes exactly with what Kanye said about choosing who was your slave master.
yeah. And with that journey, man, that's when you start hearing that they say, oh, some slaves was able to learn a trade and go to plantation to plantation. That means going to cities and doing a trade. If I teach my student how to do blacksmith and there's no blacksmith in this new town, he could go there and we could monopolize the trade.
Right? That's why a
So,
lot of up north towns, that's why a lot of up north towns in cities like Worcester and Providence was really reliant on those type of technical workers, factory workers, industrialized personnel back in the time before automation in order to be able to keep the manufacturing going.
yeah.
But now we got automation, so now they got robots doing it. They gonna
Yeah.
find out real quick how the caste system with the plantations work once they put once Elon Musk and Trump and them start putting them robots into spots where people used to work, and now it ain't gonna be no jobs.
Yeah.
They're gonna see how quick it's gonna turn into a plantation with that universal base income.
See, I think the best thing America could do right now is to start building new plantations, new cities.
That's what Trump said, making new cities, right?
Yeah. Look, move everyone out of Chicago. Move them out of Chicago. Destroy a large part of Chicago and revamp it.
That whole
It
area over there needs to get a move. Like from Chicago to Dallas, there's enough land over there to put like another 10 cities on that map right
yeah.
there. And we're not talking about no little cities either. We're talking about big cities.
See, and this what people don't understand about economy. You feel people like look at different jobs in the city and stuff and wonder why these jobs in these certain areas, why certain particular things are the way they are. These
Like
are
an example, Detroit. Like Detroit. How come all the car manufacturing was in Detroit?
yes,
And that's because we already know why, because the steel plant was over there.
yes.
They had
So
all the technical workers who knew how to make forged steel, and they needed that forged steel to make cars.
so what we mainly say, hey, oh shoot. Let me see if I could pull this up. This laptop be tripping when it come down to Facebook messages. Let me see. Let me see. I think I could pull it up. I think I can. I think I can. Yes. Okay, there you go. I don't want to minimize
You know, come on, buddy.
it. Okay, okay. Let's see. Um, man. Oh no. Okay. I thought I was able to like get that message that I sent you in your messenger. But yeah, man,
Which one?
that long one that was describing stuff, but let me find it. Okay, I can read it. Yes, in many cases, plantations serve as the foundational element for cities, particularly in regional where agriculture was a dominant economic force. Here are a few points highlighting this connection. See, you got to have agriculture. You feel? If you can't feed the
Oh, flip.
population, why you need the city? How
It's
can
like
you
them
build a
games on
city
the
like that?
phone. You know what I'm talking about?
What happened?
You know what I'm talking about? It's like them games on the phone.
Oh
You
yeah,
got to get the food right first before you can do anything else. Before you can build anything else, you got to build them food stores up.
yeah. Build a food store, get the cash, buy the equipment. So,
Exactly. Like that's it. And that's what they do now.
yes, number one, a economic center. Plantation often generated significant wealth through the process of cash crop such as cotton, sugar, tobacco, and rice. And also, you have some plantations that dealt with coal, different gold plantation. You
Hemp.
feel?
They had hemp. Don't forget the hemp.
Yeah. Oh yeah, hemp plantation because they needed it for the ships. Yeah.
If we
See,
talking about down in South America, they got the cocaine, all that.
yeah. So when they start getting the food, getting the tobacco, this well attracted businesses. And with
Right.
businesses, you could say workers, or you could say these workers are slaves, contributing to the growth
You
of
know
the
what we would call them today, Henry? What would we
e-
call them today in the modern day?
employees.
Yep, employees, right. But
Everybody,
everybody think, but everybody out here thinks that they ain't slaves anymore, but they clocking in tomorrow morning though.
yes. What do everybody do when they do an application? When somebody do an application, the job asks them the minimum wage or the highest wage they would like to get paid, and that means you is signing a contract to go on the auction block, hoping that they would choose you for the job. See, these are things that's still going on today, and y'all don't realize that was going on from the get go because these are companies.
Hey, and a lot of people thought I was capping, Henry, when I said if you got to fill out a W-2, you're a slave.
Yes.
A lot
So
of people think I'm capping.
so infrastructure development, the plantation was in where the infrastructure started. Just like they need to build, like we said earlier, they need to build new cities. Why? Because they need
Of
new
course.
infrastructure and development. As plantation expanded, they develop the infrastructure to it. That's where roads came into play. Then later on, railways and ports for transporting goods. This
Don't
infrastructure
forget them
laid the
train
groundwork.
stations,
So
them
because
train yards.
if you have boat that comes to dock, that means you got to have boat yards, right?
And you have to have a train yard right there too, so you can move the work across the land.
Yes, move the goods. Yes, you need the roads.
Well, not just the goods, the work too, because you know you need them workers to move over there too.
Yes,
You need old boy and his family to pay for them tickets on the Amtrak so he could get to Ohio from Baltimore.
yes,
Because he trying to get over there to the Ohio Valley so he could go work up in the factory.
yes,
Them boys was coming from Romania and Slovakia and Poland and all that. Ukraine. Let's not even forget Ukraine. Them fools was wasting our money over there. That they was coming here too.
So
And
now,
that's why a lot of these people live in these areas and they don't even know why they're inherently over there.
so now you hit on a good point because the next one is population growth. Plantation required a labor force, which includes enslaved individuals and later free laborers. The influx of people seeking work led to the establishment of communities and towns around the plantation. So, bam, you have, I'm going to give an example. You got New York City. And outside of New York City, you got a neighborhood, or you'll say a city called Yonkers. If you've been to New York and know about New York, you know Yonkers is not New York City. It's its own town. Once the plantation of New York started growing and expanding, population growth, other little towns start forming around the plantation. The plantation is the work center, the city. And then you got towns around it, like today, Washington, D.C. You got the DMV area, small little cities, small little towns, small little community
Don't forget about
surrounding,
that Arlington, Virginia.
yes, surrounding the big city, the big plantation. So now, for what a plantation then do, culture influx. What I'm gonna give you an example. Jumping the broom came from gypsies. Jumping the broom came from gypsies in Welch. People from Welch, because a large population of gypsies moved in the area of Welch. And then they moved to America. And these people was low of the barrel. These was also enslaved people who came over and they was on the outskirts of the city. They was
And
around the
don't forget why
native.
they was jumping the broom too. Don't forget why they was jumping the broom too. Because they wasn't Christians.
Yes.
So they had to jump the broom because they wasn't allowed to get married unless they went through Christianity. So especially if you was enslaved, because remember what it said in the it said in the old slavery annals of history in the laws, you cannot marry if you was a slave to another slave. You could only marry the slave to the slave masters. And that would have to be some Christianity type stuff where you was getting married in the Catholic Church, all that. And they had rules to that. Oh, then if the mother was the slave, then she can't inherit the plantation when the slave master dies, etc., etc. They had these different rules for that. But if you was a gypsy, because remember these gypsies wasn't Christian. That's
Yeah.
why they call them quote unquote gypsies because they wasn't Christian.
Yeah.
They was doing things that we consider today
Yeah.
pagan styles of religion.
So
So people got to
even with
remember that.
that, let's go into Scotland a moment. When people remember Braveheart, when the Lord of the Land would came inside the village at the beginning and said, "Hey, this woman came up to age and about to get married. Part of the law was for the master of the land, the Lord of the land, to come in and have a relationship, a sexual relationship with the commoners." So think about now in the
You had to
plantation
take
in
your wife
America
before you
where
could. That was the rule in back in the plantation time is that when you got married, the duke or whoever it is that was ruling over the plantation, the viceroy, the governor, he had the right to sleep with your wife before you.
yes, so now that's where you have the slave master going into the slave. The lord of the land have a right to go into his cattle. So
And then you'd have to, but and then you gotta, and then you as the husband gotta raise his bastard ass child. And then that's why in Rhode Island, if you're born out of wedlock, you go to the Hall of Records, your birth certificate.
yeah,
If your parents is married when they had you, your birth certificate is in City Hall.
yeah.
And
So
there's a reason for that. And that's that exact reason.
so now when we talk about the gypsies and these culture laws, this where you get the social and culture dynamic of plantation life influence the development of local custom, tradition, and community structure, shaping the identity of the entire city. You have Dutch names of things in New York City. You have German names of things. You have um all different types of names of blocks, corners, streets, avenues, roads. You got all these type
The
of
bodegas, all of that got those
yes,
type of names.
yes. You got names that other cities don't even know of because the culture kept coming into the plantation to work. And then now, number five, the transition over time. Now, plantation is never gonna always stay plantation because once you plant the people there and they start building the communities and cities and everything, it's not a plantation no more. It's a city. So many cities that became begun as plantation community involved into agriculture city, and then these things change. The agriculture practice change, leading to diversification in the economy and the growth of urban life. So,
That's what, hey, that, and I got an experience with that too because My great grandparents came here from Cape Verde in 1915, and they was doing all. My great grandfathers was doing longshoremen, where they was going down to the docks and they was unloading all the cargo and stuff like that. And then my great grandmothers and great aunts, they was doing stuff like cranberry picking in the bogs and blueberries and strawberries and stuff like that. They was making these crops and harvesting these crops for money. So I can speak off of what I know based on my family history to the facts of that it goes from being a colonial plantation to a city, because now the place that my great grandparents, and my grandparents grew up in is not that it's not that anymore. Now it's a full blown city over here in
Yeah.
Providence.
So now let me bring back what I said earlier. African Americans, Native Americans were treated the same. So same that you would actually, I came up with this conclusion. You don't have to believe me or follow my conclusion. You'll do your own research, do your own thoughts. I feel like the so-called African Americans are also native to America also. I believe there were several groups of people here in America before the European. Now, looking at that, African American and Native American was not allowed into the plantation. They was not allowed to go into the plantation at night. They was not allowed to trade in the plantation. So think about this in colonial time. And then think about it in modern time. There was segregation. Colored people, white people in modern time. Same thing in colonial time. The Native American was not allowed into the colony to sell anything. You got to sell it on the outside. Was not able to go in the city at night. Remember, they say shotgun towns. You feel shotgun town. If you get caught in that town at a certain period of time, it won't be good for you. You not
Central
allowed.
Massachusetts had shotgun towns, sundown towns.
Yes, yeah, sundown town. You not allowed in that town at night. And you and what else? Not able to trade. Yeah, not able to trade. Not able to come into town. And you live on the outskirts. A
And you're
lot of
not
African
allowed to
American
transit through
community.
either. You're not allowed to transit through.
Yeah, so think about this. I was born on the north side of my birth city in Louisiana. On the north side that's the historical black neighborhood.
Oh, I think, ladies and gentlemen, they called him again. He's having some technical difficulty. You know that what that means. Somebody called him again.
Give one of them
What you was
calls.
catching a phone calls?
Yeah. So that what they're telling me is about to be a countdown to shut the show off, and then we get ready for part two, going deeper into everything. So before I got cut off, I was saying that everything that African American experience is the same thing Native American experience, and they got history of these people in the same community. Gypsies was in the same community. What today we would call project, no, trailer park people.
Yep.
You
The
feel?
gypsies go in the trailer parks, brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the Israelites, aka the African Americans, aka the indigenous Americans, just like it says in the term in the living in the ghetto, the northwest part of the city. Like you said, that's usually the historically black neighborhood,
But
meaning that's the original city before the colonizer came. That was the original city.
Like what I realized, like most of African American neighborhoods is not
Oh, he's getting them phone calls again,
let me
folks. It's
just
looking like we
because
gonna have to just go on ahead and shut it down. We gonna have to wrap it up, folks.
can you hear me?
Yeah, wrap this thing up because you're getting too many calls.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
That you can hear the call now. I know that okay.
They blowing you up, son.
Yeah, I don't want the echo. So I had to change camera. So it's like this. A plantation is the beginning of the city. So the
The
overall,
foundation of the city.
yeah, the overall view of everything is plantation played a critical role in environment, in the in the economy, the social foundation of many cities, particularly in the United States and other agricultural regions around the world.
Right?
So when you go to your city and look around, realize that you is still in the plantation, but the plantation grew and became a city, or became a megalopolis, or metropolis, or just became urban lives or suburbs. But all this is pertaining to cities. So the information is out there. I'm not giving nobody nothing new. I'm just opening the book and say, hey, here you go. You could go on that journey, ask that question. You feel when you ask a question, you go on a quest. You could go on that quest, go on that journey, and gain this knowledge. I'm just giving you keys. In me in Shin Akuma, that's what we do. We give you keys because we never in the working service. We gonna serve you these keys, and it's up to you, the people, to open the door. You don't have to believe what we believe. You don't have to believe what we believe, but you can know what we know.
And remember what I said earlier in the beginning of the show. Comprehension is the key to understanding. So if you can't comprehend it, then you're never gonna understand it. So you shouldn't be giving an opinion.
Yeah. So let us go ahead and pop off and show people that this knowledge is deep. So thank everybody. Thank you to our number one fan, our monitor. Once we start getting more people communicating in the live chat, we got our moderator and our number one fan, Latoya Johnson. Thank you. Much love. Thank you for being with us this long and dealing with this knowledge. Appreciate it. And everyone else, our new subs, our old subs, people who just passing through, we appreciate y'all. If we don't say it every show, I'm saying it now. We appreciate you all for coming through. Got anything to
Yes,
say before
sir. Remember. Hell yeah, you know that. It's nothing but positive vibes out here. Make sure you're completing whatever you gotta do to keep yourself above the water line so you ain't out here drowning. So that's why we bring you all this information. Sometimes it may seem basic, other times it may be complex, but you already know what it is in between because you live it. So make sure you're living it right. Get at me.
Yes, yes.